Hello everybody, happy Thursday. I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps and this is Lunchtime Live episode 109. For those of you who are new here, Lunchtime Live is basically my video newsletter. So I'm going to tell you about everything that's going on at Stitches and Scraps, what I'm working on for next week, and any news basically. And then we'll end each session with a quick demo. So, well, today's is not going to be that quick. But for 2022, what I've been doing is I've been alternating between knit and crochet and doing a stitch of the week. So this week we're doing a knit embossed leaf, which looks like this. It's kind of putting together techniques that we looked at 2 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago. So I'll be doing a little refresher on some of that. This is a longer demo than the normal ones, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. And the other thing, if you're new here, is that any of the things I mentioned, hi Kendra, good to see you. Any of the things I mentioned during the video, if you want to get the links to them, look in the description on this video on YouTube and you'll see a link to a single blog post. In that post, there's a list of everything I plan to talk about with all of the links. Good morning, Mary. Oh, good. I'm excited about it too. I'm going to show you. It's actually easier than it looks. So I'm going to show you how to do a single one, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when you put them together with multiple ones. Anyway, we'll get to that. I'm excited about it too. Okay, so that's my intro. I think I got through all the intro stuff. So let me get into the news. So the first thing that came out this week was the seaming tutorial. This is the second tutorial, and this is like a bonus tutorial because normally I do 2, but I'm doing 3 for this bag. This is a seaming tutorial for this bag. This is bag number 5 in the bag along cal, and the particular tutorial that we're doing, or that I just posted, shows you how to do this seam right here, where you're seaming perpendicular edges. I know that sounds weird, but it's the side edge of one piece to either the top or bottom edge of another piece. So basically what this tutorial does is it takes, you know, the nice edge that you have, especially if you work in back bumps, but it takes that nice finished edge from either the top or bottom edge, and then it attaches it to the side edge in a way that tucks that side edge underneath. So the ugly side edge gets hidden underneath the pretty top or bottom edge. Hi, Beth. Kendra, I am sorry that you've been having a hard time, but I'm glad you're back. And hi, Dawn, good to see you. Okay, so that's the tutorial that just came out, and it's useful for, any time that you're sewing edges that, because it's easy to sew a top and a bottom edge together, right? Because you've got nice edges on both of them. It's less easy when you've got a side edge and a top and bottom edge. Well, without the tutorial, it's less easy. Side edges are easy too because they're the same, right? When you can match up edges that are the same, I think it's easier. But when you've got 2 different edges, this will help you with that. The other thing that came out, it's been a tutorial heavy week. The other thing that came out was the tutorial for my Convergence Square. So sorry about the edges. So the ends, I mean. So the Convergence Square came out last week. I don't know which way is right side up. What do you guys think? With the diagonal pointing this way or with the diagonal pointing this way? I like them both. Anyway, so this square came out a couple weeks ago, a week ago, I think. I'm not sure on dates, but anyway, the tutorial for the square is up. It's a lot of fun, and it uses stitches that we learned in our demos here. So let me walk you through them real quick, because we did shell stitch, and we did puff stitches, and we did this stitch, which is called something that is slipping my brain right now, but I really, really do know it, rice stitch, and horizontal puffs, and post stitches. We've done all of the stitches that are in this. We've done that in our weekly lives. So, but the full tutorial, I mean, step by step, walk you through it, half an hour tutorial is up. And that's pretty much what I've done this week, is the tutorials for those 2 things. There is one other fun thing that I'm participating in, and I actually got to kick it off, which is the big book of crochet tips and tricks, kind of it's a lot of things. It is an ebook, it is a pattern bundle, and it is a blog tour. So the way she has structured this, and this is being run by Veronica from Blue Star Crochet, the way she's structured this is, first of all, there's the ebook that is the big book of crochet tips and tricks. So a bunch of us, I want to say it's 38, 39, something like that, of us contributed a tip or a trick or something like that to put together this big compilation ebook. And a lot of them have video tutorials and stuff like that that go along with them. And the links to that are all in the book and everything. So it's really comprehensive, really nicely formatted, kind of a how-to on everything crochet. I mean, it's like it's like little tiny things like how to change colors all the way up to how to plan out your own designs. So there's all sorts of tips and tricks in this book. And then to go along with it, there's a pattern bundle. So what we did was all of us who contributed a tip or a trick, or most of us who contributed a tip or a trick, also put up a pattern that for this bundle that uses that tip or trick, right? So my tip was about increasing, and I put in an amigurumi pattern. And then one more step, it gets even better, because to advertise this as we go through the month, because, you know, like all the bundles, this is time limited, so it ends at the end of October. To advertise this, she's doing a blog tour. The patterns that are in the bundle, well, most of the patterns, it's not all of them. There's bonus patterns in the bundle, but a lot of the patterns that are in the bundle are going to be on like a blog tour where each one is a free download for one day. So mine was the first one on October 3rd, and there'll be a new one coming out every day, but you have to get it that day if you want the free download, or you can just buy the whole pattern bundle and not worry about it, which is a huge discount over buying them individually. But all of the details are in the post that I've got on my website. So check that out if you're interested. It's a lot of, it's very, how should I put it? It's very diverse in what the content is, you know, like it's all over the place with the tips and tricks. So there's stuff for brand new beginners, but there's also a lot of stuff for people like there's stuff in there I hadn't seen before. And that's saying a lot because I spend a lot of time researching this stuff. So there's stuff on there I hadn't seen before. It's a great bundle if you want to check that one out. And that is up on the site as well. So check that out. And that's been it for this week. So next week, what I'm working on is, oh, sorry, you know what? I got this glitter eyeshadow and a piece of glitter fell in my eye, so it's been bothering me. That'll teach me to put glitter on my eyes, right? Okay, so coming up next week, I'm doing the final tutorial for that bag. I'm going to teach you how to do the lining. And if you remember this lining, it's a sewn box bottom lining. So that's part of the technique basically is how to sew the box bottom lining. And then it's got this patch pocket. This is just a patch style pocket. So it's just cut out and sewn right on top. Very easy to do, you guys. My sewing skills are not fantastic. And I was able to do this. So if I can do it, you can do it too. And I've got the step-by-step tutorial coming out next week along with you know what? I thought I had a pattern, but that's not for 2 weeks. So the pattern comes out the following Monday. So I'll tell you about that one next week. And then next week's demo is going to be crochet stair-step stitch. So that'll be fun. This week's demo, we're going to jump right in because it's going to be a longer one, is knit embossed leaves. So let me pull over here. And now here's kind of my plan of attack. And ooh, I am crooked. Let's get that back. There we go. Okay, so here's my plan of attack on how I'm going to go through this with you because it's a lot to look at. And I didn't want to be making a big swatch with you. So I'm going to show you how to do one single itty bitty leaf like this. Okay, that is this chart down here. After we do that, I'm going to show you how you can take those leaves and make them, you know, put it like staggered like that so that you can get this kind of a pattern where you've got the leaves staggered. So first let's look at this itty bitty leaf, just the one leaf. You guys know I like my charts. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay. So now we are focused just on this chart. I'm going to show you the symbols real quick so that you know what we're talking about. The black box means there's no stitch here because we're actually going to be changing our stitch count. So we start off with this many stitches and we start adding stitches as we go. This is an eyelet. It's a yarn over. Okay. This means it's a purl bump showing on the front. So if you're working on a right side row, it's a purl stitch. If you're working on a wrong side row, it's a knit stitch. Basically, this means you want the purl bump to show on the front of the fabric. These are our decreases, which we'll get to as we get to each one. And then these ones are the opposite of these. This is a knit stitch on the right side of the fabric, a purl stitch if you're on the wrong side, because this means we want the knit side to show on the front. Okay, so we're going to start down here. I've actually done these 2 rows already. This is just reverse stockinette. So this is 2 rows of purl bumps showing on the front. So when I was on the right side row, I purled. When I was on the wrong side row, I knit. And now I'm ready to start the leaf itself. If you remember when we talked about eyelet lace, remember a while ago we talked about, like, I think it was 4 weeks ago, maybe something like that. We talked about doing lace with eyelets in knitting. And I told you that every time you have an eyelet, you're adding a stitch, so you need to pair it with a decrease, right? And here I'm breaking that rule. That's okay, because I am still pairing it with a decrease, just not in the same row. So there are 6 increases here, right? 3 on each side. There are also 6 decreases here. This is a double decrease. So there's 3 decreases on this side, 3 decreases on this side. So basically we're going to increase our stitch count and then we're going to decrease our stitch count. And that's what gives us the puffiness of this leaf. And we'll talk more about that later, but let's get right into the stitching here so you guys can see. So I am on row 3 on this chart and I have 5 kind of border stitches so that I could keep the leaf isolated. So those stitches, I'm on a right side row, those are going to be purl stitches. So I always like to knit the edge stitch, but that's just me. Okay, so purl stitches. So that's 1, 2, oh, I'm off camera. There we go. 3 and 4. Okay, and that should bring me now. So that was 5. I knit the first one, but that was the 5 stitches. That brings me in here, and these stitches don't exist yet. I'm going to make them. Okay, so you can see that I'm at my center stitch, which is perfect. So I'm going to do a yarn over. Now when you're purling and you're doing a yarn over and then you're going to knit, the yarn, really all you have to do is just knit without moving your yarn. So normally when you purl, you have to bring your yarn to the front, or I mean to the, sorry, let me say that again. Normally when you purl, your yarn is at the front and you have to bring it to the back to do your knit stitch, right? In this case, we're just not going to do that. And what that does when I do this knit stitch is it makes this come over the needle, creating that yarn over. So it's the same thing as if I did a yarn over and then, you know, my yarn's at the back. So yarn over and knit 1. Okay. Now I'm going to do a yarn over and then switch to purling, right? So this almost feels like 2 yarn overs, but it's not. So I do my yarn over. Okay. And then I bring my yarn to the front to purl. So let me show you that motion again. It's yarn over once to do the actual yarn over, and then bring your yarn to the front to purl. So you're wrapping it a full time around that needle. Okay, and now I'm going to purl the 5 stitches on, wait, I'm off. How is my stitch count off? 4. Oh, because I apparently cannot count to 5. That's why my stitch counts off. Okay, there we go. That was 5. Now let's do that again. Yarn over, knit 1, yarn over and bring it to the front, and then purl 5. Okay. Now you'll see what that did when we do this row. So this is the back side, and on the back side, you don't even have to necessarily look at the chart. What we're going to do is we're going to do knit 5 stitches, purl 3 stitches, knit 5 stitches, right? But you don't even have to do that. What you have to do is look at these stitches here, right? When you're doing the knit stitches, knit them. The stitches that look like knits, knit them. Everything else, the yarn overs and the ones that look like pearls, purl them. That's it for the whole pattern. So I'm knitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 5, and then I purl 3. 1, that was the yarn over. That's that purl stitch in the middle, yarn over, and then I knit 5 again. So basically I've added 2 stitches here with yarn overs. You can see those little yarn over eyelets. I've added 2 stitches, so now you can see that the size of this chart has gone out by 2 stitches, right? It was here, now it's here. So now I'm going to do that again. So this time I knit 5, sorry, where am I? I purl 5, okay? And then I knit a stitch before I do the yarn over. So let's do that. So I'm going to, again, I always like to knit my first and last stitch. Sometimes I forget, my edges have been crap on this one anyway. So knit, I work these 5 stitches. So it's going to be, according to the chart, it's purl 5, but I knit the first one because I'm bad. 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And now we're not going to jump right into the yarn over. We're first going to knit 1. So it goes knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. Okay, so here is knit 1, and notice that where I'm knitting is actually on top of that yarn over. Okay, so knit 1 and then yarn over, and then knit 1 and then yarn over, and then knit 1. So I've put in 2 more yarn overs, and they're going to be directly on top of the previous yarn overs. Then I just purl across to the end of the row, which should be 5 more stitches. Okay, wrong side row again is easy. I don't even have to look at the chart. I'm going to knit. I'm going to knit the stitches that look like knit stitches. And now I've hit one that doesn't look like a knit stitch, so I'm going to start purling until I get back to one that looks like a knit stitch. Basically, I'm knitting the background and purling the leaf. So this is what we talked about 2 weeks ago with embossed stitches, where the background is one type of stitch. In this case, it's purl bumps that are showing, and the foreground is the other type of stitch. In this case, it's knit stitches. So here you can see the background is all purls, it's all reverse stockinette, right? And the foreground here is all stockinette. So that makes it pop off the top. I feel like this is not very bright. Is this bright enough? Yeah, it looks bright enough. Okay. All right. So now I'm on one more row of those eyelets, right? We're doing 3 rows of eyelets. So this one again, knit 5, purl 5. And then now there's 2 knits because we keep adding a stitch, right? So now there's 2 knits before the yarn overs. So okay, so that was 5 stitches. So that is these 5 edge stitches here. And then I'm going to do my 2 knit stitches. So knit, knit, okay. Now that I see my center stitch, right? So I'm going to put a yarn over on each side of that. So yarn over, knit, yarn over, and then it's knit, knit, okay. So that was yarn over, knit, knit, knit. Now I'm back to the 5 stitches that I'm purling. And this is as wide as our piece is going to get. Now, after we do this, we're going to start decreasing back down to our original stitch count. Okay, so you can see that our piece has gotten wider, right? We've added, 2, 4, 6 stitches to our piece. Okay, now we're going to decrease it back down. Well, after we do this wrong side row. The wrong side row again is knitting all of the stitches that look like knits. So that's these 5 background stitches. And then purling everything else. So purl these ones that look like pearls and purl the ones that are yarn overs. I've reached a knit looking stitch again, so I want to knit those. Okay, so that's the bottom of our leaf. Now let's make the top half of the leaf. And we're going to pull our stitches back in. So we've got our 5 border stitches, our 5 edge stitches that we're doing in reverse stockinette. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And now we're doing decreases. So this is a left leaning decrease. If I'm going to work a slip slip knit because I'm right-handed. If you are left-handed, this is actually, it varies how people call it. Some people call it a slip slip knit, even though it acts like a knit 2 together, but they call it that because it leans left. And some people call it a knit 2 together because that's actually what you're physically doing. Whatever you call it, you're going to do a left leaning decrease if you're left-handed. For right-handies, wow, that was a weird thing. Okay, for righties, we're going to do our left leaning decrease is a slip slip knit. So we're going to bring our yarn to the back because it's a knit stitch. We're going to slip 1 stitch purlwise and then slip the next stitch purlwise. So now we've basically turned those 2 stitches around. We've twisted those 2 stitches. Then we're going to put our needle back into those 2 stitches and knit them together. Okay, that is a left leaning decrease for a right-handed person. That is a slip slip knit. So that was that decrease. Now I'm going to knit 3 stitches. So I knit 1, 2, 3, and now I'm doing the opposite decrease. So this is going to be a knit 2 together here. Okay, and then we're going to just do our background stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. For our wrong side row, nothing's changed. We're still going to knit the stitches that look like knit stitches on this side and purl the ones that don't. So we knit 5, oh, sorry, there we go, knit 5, and then we purl across the leaf itself, which in this case right now is 5 stitches because we decreased, right? So purl 5, and knit 5. Okay. So now you can see the top of the leaf starting to take shape because it's pulling in this way, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to again knit 5, do a decrease. This time we're only going to have 1 stitch in the middle and then our decrease. So we're going to purl, not knit, purl across 3, 4, 5, our background stitches. Okay, now we're at the edge of the leaf, so we're going to do a decrease that leans left, which for me is a slip, slip, knit. Okay, then we're going to do the 1 center stitch here, and then we're going to do the decrease that leans right, which is the knit 2 together. And then we've got purls all the way across for our background. Okay. The wrong side, we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. Knit across until we get to the leaf, purl across the leaf, and then knit the rest of the background stitches again. Our leaf was only 3 this time, and I tried to purl too many. So now we're doing our background stitches. one more row for the actual leaf shaping. Now this decrease, see here we're basically taking 2 stitches and working in and 2 stitches and working in, but here there's only 1 stitch that has to be shared between decreases on both sides, right? So we're going to work 3 stitches, all 3 of these 3 stitches. We're going to work them together in 1 decrease. So first we get over our background stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 gets us to our leaf. Okay. Now for the leaf, these are the 3 stitches that we're going to decrease. Okay. So I'm going to slip, well, first of all, it's a knit. So I'm going to move my yarn to the back. We're going to slip the first one, just as though we were going to do a slip, slip, knit. Notice how I turned it, right? Then we're going to knit these 2 together. Okay. And then we're going to slip this one back over, or pass this one over the knit 2 together that we just did. So it's kind of a combination of that knit 2 together decrease and the slip, slip, knit decrease. And that decreases 3 stitches down into 1. And then we do our background stitches. I'm just going to do one more wrong side row and then we'll be done with knitting this and I can talk to you about the structure of it a little bit. Now one thing that's really important, again for this wrong side row, we're just knitting all the stitches that look like knits and purling the stitches that don't. Now in this case, that's only the 1 stitch in the middle that looks different, right? So just that 1 middle decrease that we did, we're going to purl that one. And then we're going to knit the rest. Okay, so that is the knitting of it all done. Now let's talk about the structure of it a little bit. You know that we increased here, right? So if I really pull this, I can get that shape of more stitches here and fewer stitches there, right? But because of the structure of it and because of the decreases, it kind of pulls it back together a little bit. So when you block it out straight, it actually makes the leaf puff. And blocking is very important with lace like this. This is technically lace, so it gives it that extra depth, that extra dimension when those stitches kind of pull back in on themselves like that, right? You see that? It also makes the yarn overs progressively smaller because as the stitches condense on themselves, they push the yarn overs in a little bit. So here we don't have any stitches pushing in because these were our first increases. Here we have a couple extra stitches and here we have even more stitches. So you can see that the yarn overs get progressively tighter because of other stitches pushing them in as well. And that lends something to this shape down at the bottom. So that is the single individual leaf and those extra stitches give it extra dimension. Great, right? But now you're saying, but how do I do this? And why do these look different? Why do these look so much flatter? Oh, let me zoom out a little here. Just 2. There we go. Why do these look so much flatter than this? Okay, well, there's an answer. Here is the chart for this. All right, and what I've done, let me find a pointy thing. There's a pointy thing. Do you see this leaf? Look at what this leaf is, right? This leaf is the 3 yarn overs and the 3 decreases with a couple knit stitches surrounding them, right? Here is that same leaf. The 3 columns of three rows of yarn overs and the 3 decreases and a couple of knit stitches surrounding them. So if you ignore all of this stuff, this is that leaf that we just made, okay? But here I've got another leaf starting. See these 3 columns? That's those 3 columns. So where I start doing the decreases here is where I start doing the increases here. And down below, where I'm doing the increases here is where I did the decreases at the top of the previous leaf, okay? So by doing that, everywhere that I've got an increase, it's offset by a decrease. And if I split it in the middle here, then it's exactly even. So it's like 1 column of increases here, 1 column of decreases here. 1 column of increases here, 1 column of decreases there, okay? One column of increases here, decreases there, increases here, decreases there. So the stitch count never changes. And what that does is it doesn't give you that extra bulk that would pump this up and make it puffy, right? It doesn't look as puffy, but it's it creates this like overall texture, and it keeps the edges really nice and even because you're never changing the stitch count. So it's two different looks from the exact same stitch pattern. And you can see the background stitches here. Now here I've just done 2 background stitches between each of the leaves. You could do 5, you could do 10. It really doesn't matter. You could spread these leaves out or bunch them together as much as you want, as long as you have some sort of background for them to pop off of. You see that? So you have to have the reverse stockinette background for the stockinette leaves to come up off of. And that is the leaf stitch, both on its own, which is puffier, or staggered with like a whole overall texture of leaves. So what do you guys think? Did that make a lot of sense? Was that too much? Let me know. I know that's a longer demo than what we normally do, but it's kind of combining like the idea of an embossed texture by popping the knit and purl stitches off of each other with the idea of eyelet lace with the increases from yarn overs and the decreases to offset them. So any thoughts on that? Mary, I know you said you were really looking forward to this one. What did you think? I'm going to actually wait and see if Mary answers. She may have had to go though, because I know that she watches this from work, I think. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I will see you next week. I'm trying to think if I have anything else I need to tell you. Let me look at my cheat sheet here. Nope, I think that was everything. So have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next Thursday for Lunchtime Live. Oh, did I tell you what I'm teaching you next week? I'm doing, oh, I'm looking at an old sheet here, I think. You're working in your mind now how to put it on a sweater. Yes, it's wonderful on a sweater. Do you think you want like columns or like an overall texture? Anyway, we can talk more about it later. But the easiest way, if you're trying to put it as an insert on a sweater, is to draw yourself a graph for that section and just set aside that many stitches. If it's an all over thing, then you're going to have to deal with shaping at the edges of it, which is doable, but takes a little more work, and you might need a bigger graph to kind of work your way through that. For the first time, I would probably do maybe like a column of leaves, or do more like background stitches at the edges where you're doing your shaping. Unless you're doing a straight sweater. If you're doing like a straight, like drop shouldered sweater, that's really easy to do then, because then you don't have to do any shaping in the lace pattern. But you know, you can reach out to me if you have questions and I'll help you with it. Okay, so that is everything. And now I really will say bye because I've kept you guys longer than usual. So have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye.